Randy Seedorff, ladies and gentlemen. That's called Fearless, and hopefully he's feeling fearless after listening to our banter. Come on in here and say hello, Randy.
Hi, guys. How you doing today? Thanks for having me on. I appreciate the opportunity.
Oh, we are so happy to have you here, and hope we haven't scared you away. We tend once in a while to get off on little tangents, and you know, you never know what's going to happen next on this show. But I can promise you one thing: once you're on the show, you're part of the family. So you're going to have to put up with us like the like Weird Uncle Harold or whatever. It's just the way it goes. We're glad to have
every family. You know, David, every family's got one of those. You know.
Oh, I know.
I know the Weird Uncle Harold. You know, the guy that
And I'm it.
Like the family, all that.
I've got a few in my family.
Is that you, John?
That is me, Randy. Yes, I'm Weird Uncle Harold.
I got you.
Well, Randy, other than cavorting with weird people, for folks who aren't familiar with you, I'd like you to maybe tell us a little bit about Randy Seedorff, where you came from, and how you got to where you are today.
Well, I grew up in a farm town in northeast Iowa, and my family, my dad was a farmer. His dad was a farmer. His uncles were farmers. You know, that's what our people did. And as that culture started to erode and farming started to become big, corporate entities, they ended up selling their family farm and moving to Kansas City, Missouri, where I currently live now. This is where I grew up, and my family raised me. My mother was a country music artist back in the 1950s, and her stage name was the Prairie Sweetheart. And
awesome.
Yeah, she sang on the radio in Chicago, and the barn dance and all that, and she did a lot of state fair appearances and things like that. My uncle was a Nashville studio musician and toured with an artist that was the stage band for a lot of major artists at these state fairs, things like that. So a lot of times when they didn't travel with a band. So yeah,
it's in your blood then.
Yeah, I grew up around musicians and singing. I come from a family with 8 kids, and with a big family like that, when we all got together with our cousins and aunts and uncles, the instruments would come out, and we'd have a jam and all sing together. So.
And that's great. Music bringing people together. I think we need more of that today. We need something to bring us back together. That's for sure. How did you transition into doing this professionally?
Well, I started out singing in church like a lot of artists. My mother was the worship leader at our church growing up, and so I got nominated to help her, at a really young age, and then. I guess when I was about 11, all my other brothers and sisters had got to choose what instrument they wanted to play. And so when my mother asked me what I wanted to do, I said, well, I want to play guitar. And so from then on, it was like a love affair with guitar. And when I got to be a teenager, then I started doing what teenagers do, finding other people that played music and collaborating with them and, learning other things from each other on the guitar. So I guess I was in my late teens when I started writing songs. So
I can understand that completely. Now you're I don't know. You get into classifications, and of course, in this day and age, classifications and genres have gotten so muddled. Now, you're listed as a contemporary Christian artist. Your music has some rock, it has some country, various threads you can hear the influence in. How do you categorize your music? If I were to come to you and say, okay, we're going to get you on the radio, what kind of stations do you want to play? Obviously, your first answer is going to be everyone I can get on, but looking at it from the standpoint of you're classifying your music, where would you place it?
Well, I would say that I definitely have a country influence in my life and in my music. I would say it's roots music, that it has an Americana flavor to it, even though the message is a message of hope and it's driven by my faith. I think we try to reach out to multiple genres in the way that we write our music. So I don't know if that's vague enough for you or not, but I just try to be very, very honest and very authentic in what I write. And like the song that you just heard, people are living in fear. There's a lot of that out there right now, and they're dealing with the unknown during this pandemic. And I think they need to, in my view, make the most of today, even though they may be quarantined at home. So.
I agree, and it's a challenge for people. I know each of us is living through it, and we know how the challenge affects us, but it is definitely a challenge for people today. John Bon Jovial, I know you're waiting to jump in here. What you got?
Well, first of all, let's just get the nastiness out of the way. My condolences to you on the Chiefs. I really thought it would be. I thought it would be a closer game.
I am way more rootsy than your normal mainstream contemporary music. The album that this song came from, Fearless, has some worship songs on it, but you'll see that those worship songs have my personality in them, and they have that same flavor. So,
and I think I've gotten to listen to a few of your tracks. John does not. And that's intentional. I don't let him listen to the music. I don't even tell him who's going to be on the next show so that he doesn't go out and listen to them, because I want to get his first impression cold, as if he were listening online to the podcast for the first time, and get his reaction to the music. So when he says he likes something, you can take it for what it's worth, because he hasn't had time to form an opinion or cover up his feelings yet. And that's exactly the way we put it.
Well, and sometimes I also, I'll put my foot in my mouth and get myself in trouble, and I didn't mean to. I hope I didn't come across as insulting the young lady that played just before us. But again, he's right. I don't get to hear the music until we actually play it on the show.
And nobody likes every single kind of music. I've got as broad a perspective of music as most anybody, and there are some, I don't, I'll be honest, I don't go out of my way to listen to rap, and I don't go out of my way to listen to high opera. So there are things that, there are types of music I'm more appreciative of than others, I should say. Now, you had...
Well, I think as an artist, I'm sorry, I wanted to jump in for a second.
Go ahead.
I think as an artist, and also as a songwriter, I think that can, constructive criticism can really be a motivator for you. I know it has been for me when people have said, well, I don't like this about your music or that. If you honestly take a look at that, a lot of times they're right. And if you take that constructively, it can motivate you to be better. So,
well, they've always said beauty is in the eye of the beholder, and that holds true for music too. Whatever you behold, you see with your eyes or hear with your ears, and you are going to flavor it with your opinion. But you mentioned motivations, and I know that you had an experience that turned your life around a little bit, an experience with an armed robber.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in 1993, well, I at a very young age, I started into the hospitality industry, and that was kind of an extension of me being able to play music, because of a lot of the places where I worked, they had live music. And so I was able to kind of work my way up on stage, It's kind of an ulterior motive. But one of the restaurants where I was managing, it got broke into when I was there by myself early in the morning, and 4 armed guys and I had a tussle. They won as soon as the guns came out, and I ended up on the floor in the office, tied with my hands behind my back and my feet tied to my hands. When they did that, they the gentleman who did that slammed his heel of his boot into my back and fractured one of my vertebrae. The ensuing discussion was about whether they were going to cut my throat or whether they were going to shoot me in the head. And
that would definitely get your attention.
So, God and I had a discussion there on the floor about, well, I guess if this is it, you've certainly got my attention. And, I don't know if it was audible or inside. I just cried out to the Lord and I said, hey, I know that I need to change my path here. And will you help me do that? And I hadn't finished thinking that, and there was a honk on the horn from the getaway car in the parking lot. And they took the money and they left without killing me. So it definitely got my attention and changed my path. So
it definitely would. We've got only a few seconds left here, so I want to give you time to tell us about this next song we're going to play, because it's obviously a special song. Tell us about Family Tree.
I feel like everybody has these landmark moments in their life, and I chose 3 to write this song about: singing with my family, the birth of my son, and my conversion experience when I asked Jesus into my life. And you can put yourself in the middle of that song. I think there's nothing that quite changes you like becoming a parent. And certainly for me, nothing changed the course of my life more than my faith journey. So.
Well, thank you, and we want to thank you so much for coming, spending time and sharing your story and your music with us today. And before we let you go, got to give you time to do some self-promotion. Tell the folks how they can find you online, get your music, get in touch with you.
You can message me at randyseedorff.com, RandySeedorff.com. That's my website. You can buy our music on all the social media platforms, iTunes, Spotify, Deezer, Tidal, all those digital platforms. And our new album, our full album release, should be out by the 1st of March. So
I'm glad you mentioned that. You saved me the trouble of checking my notes to be sure that got mentioned. We want to mention to you that, as I said before, you're now part of the family, like it or not. And I have a Facebook groups page, and
cool.
It's The David Bowers Awards on Facebook, and you can post your own music news, play dates, new releases, whatever you've got that you want to share with the listeners and fans. Post it there. We'll pick it up from there and post it on our other social media sites. So feel free to use that page for that purpose, because that's what it's there for.
Well, that's very kind and very generous of you, David. And it's really nice to meet both you gentlemen. And John, it is 9 below here in Kansas City with 8 inches of snow, and the wind chill is minus 20. So I'm just a little jealous about you being in Florida right now.
Well, the expression sucks to be you, right?
Randy, thank you again so much for being here
Randy,
with us
thanks.
today.
It's been great. It really has.
Ladies and gentlemen, Randy
thank you for
Seedorff.
playing the music.
You're welcome. And here he is with Family Tree.